Hello, welcome to CarCast. I'm at the moderator DeAndrea here with Bill Goldberg. How are you?
I'm shitty because I just showed you Kubota zero turn mower one, iPhone 15 Pro zero. Um,
Wow, that's
so
hacked up pretty good.
so here's the deal. Deal was is that yesterday being Tuesday, um, my son had the final baseball team dinner at the house. So obviously, as a proud parent, you want to get the places looking as spotless as possible, right? So I'm out mowing. The day before, in preparation, I spent, let's see, I went out before he left for school, which was 7 o'clock in the morning, and I got in at 6. So I spent freaking, 8, 9 hours weed eating. Well, I'm blind in my right eye, and I got something in my eye. And back on Bull Run, I had scratched my cornea with a piece of sand, and I'll be damned if this didn't hit it yesterday, right? So I was completely blind. I couldn't even open my eye driving the zero turn lawnmower, and Wanda has planted in one area. She used the paper underneath the rock chips and stuff, so it's like a flower bed paper that you put down to block the weeds. Very
Yeah,
long story
yeah.
short, I cut it all up inadvertently mowing that part of the lawn, right? So there's black pieces of fabric all over the place. So I'm driving the lawnmower and I look down and I see a black piece of fabric. Well, I run over it. It wasn't a black piece of fabric. And my phone was at least 150 feet away from where I struck it. So it threw my case one way and the phone the other way. So yeah, it's pretty stupid. Oh, by the way, the tip of the day: get Apple Care on all of your devices.
Yeah.
You're with Apple because I didn't have it, right? So yeah,
Yeah, but also depending on who your provider is, like AT&T does like mandatory insurance if you have an iPhone because there's so many claims on it. So, depending on your service provider, they may actually have insurance on the phone already anyway. You should
yeah.
check.
Well,
You can check that.
awesome.
It's separate from Apple Care. You can check. Yeah.
I spent a nice cool grand yesterday on time
Yeah. I
in
listen,
Louisville.
I've been there, not with a lawnmower, but yeah. Hey, it's funny, years ago when we did the Hollywood premiere for the Newman documentary and we unloaded cars out of the trailer. That's the one that was at the Roosevelt Hotel and there was a crane in the back and had to lift the car up and drop it like in the middle. It was really kind of cool to do, but uh
You mean
yeah,
place it?
I was underneath the car in the trailer, and I think yeah. So I was undoing the ratchet straps, and my phone fell out of my pocket. It was laying next to me, and someone else was in the trailer and undid a ratchet strap in the front and threw it toward the back. And the ratchet strap landed right on top of my phone and just shattered the glass. And I at first I was like, I'm just gonna put a piece of clear tape on it just to see if I can get through the weekend with it.
Yeah,
And
right.
I I, I couldn't even get that to work, so I just had to like send somebody. I was like, just go and I was like, I can't leave this setup for the event because it's during the day, the event's at night. I can't leave. Like I
Yeah, that's
just
the problem. The problem. I mean, I got to tell you, 2024. I'm an old school guy. We all know that. It's fucking liberating not having a phone.
yeah.
It truly is. It's been the most peaceful 24 hours, and except for the 25 kids that were over here. But yeah, there's something very peaceful about it, right?
You know, I don't know how long ago it was. It was probably just a few years ago. I just remember doing another event with Leno, and he just busted out his flip phone, and I'm
Oh yeah,
pretty
he's
yeah.
notorious for that.
Yeah, and these days I think he's finally got like a modern phone, and it's probably somebody got it for him, somebody like as a gift or something, and he was like, okay,
There's
I'll
no
get.
way he would have bought it on his own.
Yeah, maybe his wife or somebody got it for him, but But yeah, we did several events. He's got his flip phone, and I'm like, flip phone, huh? He's like, it works. I don't
I've
know.
been wanting to get a flip phone for years, right?
Yeah,
Ever since I had the Razor, I thought it was one of the best phones that anyone ever made.
I thought they're bringing them back.
Well, they
The flip,
are, but it's a Samsung, right? And
yeah, it's some kind of high tech thing.
everything that you've got won't sync up. And now, with all these videos, you got GoPros, and it's just,
Yeah,
I finally kind of got it down. So I'm not throwing a wrench in it. I'll
yeah,
pay the
yeah.
grand.
No, I'm kind of the same way. Like I've already committed to one product. Like my brother committed to the whatever the Android platform, and then he won't go off because everything's integrated with it, just like I've integrated with my Apple iPhone. And you're right, I shoot the videos and stuff on it now. Like I have the gimbal and I have the tripod, and whatever I shoot around here, I just shoot it on my phone. And yeah, I should go back, I don't know, maybe to using, separate cameras or whatever, but I don't know.
So
I
with
don't
the
do that.
camera on that new 15 Pro, man, my photographer's here and he's talking about, well, how did you shoot that? Because I had some XPEL footage that I was the cameraman for. And the footage is fantastic. And the clarity is unreal. And he asked what camera it was, and it wasn't a camera, it was my freaking
It's
iPhone.
just, yeah, it's just the phone.
Yeah. So you gave a good analogy about um not having, not staying with one brand when you were talking about the iPhone and the.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads us into what we're shooting today at Goldberg's Garage. Lo and behold, what do you think? What manufacturer are we spotlighting today? What do you
Well,
think?
I'm gonna go with Dodge.
Now, that was the obvious answer. That's a no, right? So I'm stepping into the Ford territory today,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Obviously, I've got to segue there eventually when I do the Lawman, which will probably be a 5-episode deal, right? But I mean, the reality is, if you're a car guy, and I've thought about this long and hard, and if you're a car guy and you stay true to only one manufacturer, you're a freaking sheep. You really are.
Yeah, yeah.
You really are. If you look at it, and I'm being introspective at the same time, you're not a true car guy if that's what you do. If you're a brand specific guy,
Oh, you're a fan of the brand, then that's different.
you're
It's
a
a kind of
fan
a
of the
different thing.
brand, but you can't be a true car guy because there's not one brand that has the best of everything. So why not go out and taste a little bit of what the competitor has to offer? I.e., we're shooting Gage's Bronco today, right?
Yeah.
The logical transition for me as a father, as a spokesperson in the past for Dodge, would be to get him a Jeep, right? But it's 2020. The big hoopla is coming out about the reemergence of the Bronco. $100 to get a reservation. Why not do it, right? I mean, I loved the original Bronco. The problem with the original Bronco, the early days, was I couldn't fit in it.
Yeah, they're small.
Yeah, they're small. And I was very much looking forward to the rebirth of the Bronco, right? And let's be perfectly honest, Ford definitely had it out for Dodge in that space, in that time, because of what the TRX was doing to the Raptor, right? Let's be perfectly honest. So Ford came back with a vengeance, and they put out this product that came out in '65 and had the lineage that the Bronco had, and along with the timing of COVID and everything and the aftermarket world, they freaking succeeded times 50. And if you remember, I was doing a case study as a Dodge guy, but objectively as to how Ford was coming out with this new vehicle, which was a huge gamble because of all of the fanfare they had for the original, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like bringing back the Challenger with Dodge. They killed it. Whether it was the advertising, whether it was the promotion, whether it was the delivery. Now, let's be honest. I mean, at the time, COVID was still an issue and things were pushed, if you remember.
There was a few delays, like the hard tops were delayed and stuff, but they
Yeah,
still
still an
wildly
issue.
successful.
Yeah. But yes, so successful. And I think the success of it was a lot predicated upon SEMA's ability to get to the aftermarket world, and so they could throw out as many products as humanly possible right when that thing hit the showrooms, right?
Yes, and Ford as well. Ford wanted to launch that with a bunch of accessories available right at the dealer, and making that truck as kind of as modular as possible, and working
Yeah,
with the
and so
aftermarket to get those parts. Totally
so
made sense.
going back as a true car guy, and I'm a Jeep guy. I've had it, but I had a brand new Jeep back when I played with the Rams, and I'm a big fan. But I love the Bronco, and I never was able to get in it, and so I was living vicariously through my son. So we purchased the Bronco. It was a 2021. I guess it came out to be a 2022. It was the Big Bend version. It was a four-door. It was a 2.7 liter EcoBoost. You couldn't get the manual transmission except for
Yeah.
in the 2.3. I wasn't gonna, thinking for me, yeah, I would have loved to have the 2.7 with the manual, but it's my son's car. He didn't know how to drive a stick, so I gave him a little bit more horsepower. Gave him the automatic. I knew that afterwards there's no reason to go in and load this thing up with options, because through the aftermarket world we could do our thing.
Yeah.
So we get it. I send it to XPEL. I do the normal thing. I make it look like a Goldberg's garage car, right? It's
Yeah, right.
flat black. It's got lights everywhere. It's lifted. It's
It
got the
wasn't ordered black. I know
no,
you
it
did the
wasn't
wrap.
overblown. No,
Yeah,
it was
you
great. Yeah, it was great.
yeah, it was gray.
And that was the color that Gage picked out. But
Yeah.
he wanted, but for some reason he flipped, right? So he wanted black. That's when I got the wrap, right?
Yeah, right.
So we set it up like every other vehicle. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I've never driven it, other than I drove it one time. Other than what we're going to do today, I have no experience with it. I don't know how to. The top has never been taken off. The doors have never been taken off. This is a freaking Bronco. So today I'm going to like light a fire in it and blow all the panels off, on
Yeah.
camera.
I'm actually curious to see the process of doing some of that stuff. I know
I
sections
have
of the
no
roof are
idea.
super
So
super
I'll be
easy.
doing, yeah, I'll be doing it in real time, because I have no idea. It's not my vehicle. I've never watched a video. So it'll probably be a time lapse, because it's going to take me so freaking long to take the panels.
What were some of the other customizations that you and Gage did on the truck, other
Well,
than the
we
wrap?
put a 2-inch leveling kit on it. We
Okay.
put 35s on it. We put aftermarket wheels on it. We put the ADD front bumper, the ADD rear bumper on it. We did the rigid light bar on top, which that was for this last Christmas. And then we did the rigid light bar in the front bumper. Did the rigid pug lights, the fog lights. Other than that, we did the wrap. That's it.
Yeah.
Every single thing we've done is cosmetic, because I'm not going to
Yeah,
juice.
but that's nicely equipped.
I think it's got 300 horsepower. I'm not sure by any stretch. The 2.7's probably got 300. That I thought was enough for Gage. The fact is that it's not a highway car by any freaking means.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a need. If it was a need of his, I would not have gotten the Bronco, 100%, because it's not a highway car.
Yeah.
I've driven it
I
on
think
the
they're
highway that one
three
time I drove.
three maybe 315 horsepower. I think it's
Yeah, that's ample,
yeah.
100%. I mean, I don't know the weight of the vehicle.
You know what? Yeah. Maybe it's 330. I don't remember, but yeah. But it's good. It was good power.
It's good, and it's fairly stable. I do remember the one time I drove it and I got it up to speed, and I think anything over 55, and it's not real comfortable. That's not the sweet spot for that vehicle by any stretch. I think it's 15 to 25 off road. But let's be perfectly honest. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So if you want a highway vehicle, you ain't going out and getting the Bronco. But for what it is and for what the lineage represented, I think they knocked it out of the park. And I'm very excited today to take it off road.
Yeah. Okay. Is Gage going to be in the video? Does he even know you took his car?
Even though I took his car, yeah, he's driving my freaking TRX.
Oh, he's driving your TRX today. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, who got the big end of that stick? But you know,
Yeah.
hey, I took the TRX off road. You saw in the video. I'm going to do replicate it with the Bronco, but I'm going to beat on the Bronco a little bit more, mainly because it's not mine. But I like I said, I'm excited to see. I know it's not going to have the power by any stretch, but that's not what it was purchased for.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
it's
but I've had
technical.
fun with that. I did the Bronco off rodeo event in Vegas. Now, I, that event was the Bronco Raptor, and we kind of walked through the changes between the two. Um, but overall, the event was fun, and you realize like when you get an opportunity to take the Bronco off road and do some of the things that it was meant to do,
That's what it was built for.
like ice with a Jeep. I mean, we see Jeeps around LA all the time, but how many of them see dirt? You realize it's fun and it's got some great capabilities. And you're right
They're
that
purpose-built vehicles, right? So use it for what it's built for, and that's what I aim to do today.
yeah,
Hopefully, we don't pop the tires, but yeah, I mean, hey, it's an off-road monster. I can't wait to put it through the paces. So, and it's got 35s. Like I said, it's got a 2-inch leveling kit, so the clearance will be no problem. Um, I'm sure it'll have enough power to do what I'm asking it to
yeah,
do. It'll be fun.
yeah, it'll be fun. You mentioned the XPEL wrap and stuff. And when you were shooting the video uh with the Cobra, we talked about it a few times, but I don't know that we finished that story. Uh Expel, you brought it out there. The Expel guys were like, this is a wildly difficult car because it's small and it's got a lot of curve
Here,
and there's no single piece. So they flew somebody in
well,
to,
yeah, let me
yeah.
tell the story. So I Chris Hardy is the gentleman. I believe he's the head of marketing, head of sales. Um, he's a fabulous person. Forget about XBell for a second. This guy is a true car guy, and we talk at Barrett Jackson in January. Chris is there. He throws some of his XBell guys to come over and wipe the car down and take care of me. And I tell him about the project we're doing. And he says, so why don't you get the Cobra wrapped? I'm like, that'd be freaking unbelievable. Um, you know how much these guys do for me, right? But I wanted to get them involved, but I figured, it was kind of out of the box. So very long story short, he told me it was possible. I sent the vehicle there.
Yeah.
He did not get his wrapped in San Antonio. He got his wrapped up north. Guy
Okay.
named Wild Bill. He's the guru at Expo. He's the installer, right? So evidently, Wild Bill did the install of his, and Wild Bill made it look kind of easy. And it's not easy by any stretch of imagination. And so I find out through Chris that literally the Cobra is the most difficult vehicle to wrap. And I got a message from San Antonio saying we can't do it. Then I
Yeah.
get a
They
follow.
tried.
They were trying, yeah. Then I get a follow-up phone call, and Chris says, "Hey, I'm sorry. We're going to get it done. Let me make some phone calls." I think a week passes. We get the car delivered, or no, the car was already there at Expo.
Yeah.
Um, uh, a week passes. He says, "I'm going to take care of it." We keep in contact. A couple days later, it was a Thursday. He calls me up there. So I drove up, and he flew his 2 installers in, I think from Connecticut or from Pennsylvania, up in the Northeast. And I'm like, so you guys are giving me all the service here, and you flew your guys in? There's one of them.
Yeah, we're looking at the photo on the YouTube channel, so you can see the photo.
And so I went up there not only to thank them in person, but to witness what they were doing. And these guys were like freaking unbelievable artists. And they did stuff and went through the vehicle with me to explain to me why it's so difficult.
Yeah,
So first off, we had to add a stripe
right. Which was
because
fine, and then you knew that ahead of time.
I mean, I knew it ahead of time, but I mean, it was something that was only added because of need. So I never desired to have a stripe on. So it was kind of, it's kind of sucks, but I'll deal with it, right? Stripe's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they did an unbelievable job. And the problem areas, I've got the video will be coming out in a couple weeks, but the problem areas are addressed by it's kind of a patch that looks like rhino lining, right?
Okay.
So if you look, the front headlights where where they blend into the grill, that spot right there on the inside is one of the impossible spots. So what they've done is they put a patch right in the seam, right in the not seam, there are no seams, right in the kind of crease area,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
most rounded area. That's that rhino lining material, and it's about that big, but
Yeah.
it's right
Okay.
in the front, right in the corners, and then if you know the rear quarter, right, the haunch right there, right at the flare, where the rocks are going to come from the front and hit in the rear. That's another area that's extremely difficult to wrap, but that's where they were able to seam it in.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll send you some shots of it, but it's the work that they did was freaking beautiful. It was unbelievable. And you know, for them to go out of their way and for XPEL to do this for me, I mean, I'm blessed, and I you know, feel kind of embarrassed. But and here's why: we're shooting the Bronco today, and you and I had this conversation when I bought the Bronco. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get it wrapped. Well, I'm not going to send it to XPEL because it's a Ford. And at the time, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't actively putting Ford stuff out there because I was being paid by Dodge to do their thing, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a little different, right? And God, what was the lost my train of
Who
thought.
did the rap on the Bronco?
Oh yeah, so it turned out to be a it's a $5,000 to $8,000 process, right? The
Yeah.
ceramic
Yeah.
coating, and then the paint correct, the ceramic coating, and then the PPF, whatever it is. And so I said, you know what? These guys do so much for me. I'm not even going to mention that we got the Bronco. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to source it out, and I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to do it
Yeah.
elsewhere. Wait till you see what this wrap has turned into, that I did it somewhere other than XPEL. And once you compare the quality of product and
Yeah.
installation, it's night and day, absolutely night and day. And I did it with one of the top installers around here in San Antonio, and his workman, it was shit compared.
Yeah.
And I
That's
do it
interesting.
side by side.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you think about doing a wrap, you still get what you pay for, and hopefully you do.
Not this time.
But yeah, you got to really find a good shop, and you got to make sure they're using a good product.
Yeah, and you know, when he came up to me and talked to me about wrapping the Cobra at Barrett Jackson, I said, listen, here's the deal, man. I got Gage's car wrapped and I didn't even tell you about it. And you're here trying to get this done for me, man. I don't deserve it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you get another freaking vehicle wrapped by somebody else, I'm coming after you, right?
Yeah.
Now I know why.
Yeah. That's fair. That was on you. I know what you were trying to do,
It was
but
on me. I didn't want somebody to go above and beyond for a product That is
No, you should, but you should have taken it to Expel and say, this one I insist on paying for. You guys do it. I insist on
correct.
paying for it
But
because
here's
this
the
is a different
deal.
project, and it
But you
doesn't
know
fit
that
into my
wouldn't have happened.
narrative. Yeah.
You know that wouldn't have happened. So
I
that's
get
why
it.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. But and I've done that. I've done that too. I've done that with some of the guys, I'm going,
No question.
I'm putting, I'm putting wheels or something on a truck, and I want you to make me set a wheel. I want to pay for them because it's not like a promotional vehicle that I just want to change the wheels. I want to pay for it. So I've been down that road before,
Like
so
the
I totally get
MSD stuff, like the MSD stuff I'm about to buy.
it. Yes. Yeah, we gotta talk about that again. Um, I am gonna I'm gonna be heading out over to the dyno again, and for the Mustang Mach 1. And it's been kind of off behind me, kind of sitting, and I just wanted to follow up on that. So the Mustang Mach 1, you guys know, we did the twin turbo kit on it, and when we were getting ready for SEMA, we got kind of a base tune in it, but it wasn't the final tune. And I took it over to Ray's shop, Full Throttle Customs. Ray's been he was on Car Warriors, and he's been a friend, and he's dynoed a bunch of the cars and tuned cars and some of Adam's racing cars. He's, all of Bodie Stroud's builds that are SEMA builds. Ray's done the engines on all of
Can you
those.
send him here to do some carburetor work?
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because so much of this stuff could be done remotely, except the carburetor work. Obviously, that you got to just get under the hood. So I reached out to Ray and I said, hey, we were having conversations about carburetors and tuning, and you should pop onto the show. Let's have you on. And he said, great. He goes, but let's finish your Mach 1 first, so we have that to talk about it as well. So when I brought it down there, the tune was okay. There was a little bit of a hesitation around 2,800 RPM to 28 and 3,000. Not necessarily at full throttle, it's part throttle, which also kind of brings up why having a good tune is as important as someone who's going to do a good rap, right? Is the tune isn't just for the big horsepower number. It's about the drivability. It's being able to get into that car, fire it up, and have it run well. And I know oftentimes, and I've done this as well, just trying to tune a little bit on my own, where I go a little rich, and it's because it's a little bit on the safe side of the tune, it but you end up burning extra fuel, and it stinks, and you can run into some issues with that. So you got to get it done the right way. So the tune was fine, and it made 530 rear wheel horsepower. Now, let me explain why. I'll let Ray get into this more than anything, but when you go onto the dyno, there's typically two brands of machines. There's what's called the Mustang dyno, has nothing to do with the car. It's just called a Mustang dyno, and then there's DynoJet. And the Mustang dyno puts a load on it. Meaning when you put your rear tires on the barrel and it spins it, you can load that up to simulate moving the weight of the vehicle and air, right? Where the DynoJet oftentimes kind of spins freely. And again, I'm paraphrasing here. Ray can get into this more. So the Mustang dynos often show a lower horsepower number than a DynoJet does. It's not necessarily an incorrect number. Some would argue the Mustang dyno is the correct number because it's put load on it, and the DynoJet is kind of the more optimistic number. So Ray has a Mustang dyno, and it's a little bit of an older unit, but it works all the same. And it's really about the tuning, not about the horsepower version. Like if you were just going for the highest horsepower number you want, you probably wouldn't go onto a Mustang dyno. That being said, there's some difference, some percentage difference, somewhere around 10 to 15% difference between Mustang dyno numbers and dyno jet numbers. It's not to say that if you put the same vehicle on those two dynos, the numbers will be different, but the tune doesn't necessarily mean it's different. It's just preference. So a Mustang Mach 1 stock should put down around 440 horsepower to the tires. On a Mustang dyno, probably about 400. And so we put the car on his dyno. It did about 530, which again, if there's about a 10% difference between the dyno jet numbers you see on YouTube, that's probably around 580 dyno jet numbers and about 530 Mustang dyno numbers. But I think it should be over the 600 mark, even on the Mustang dyno. So I think, well, I guess we'll see how far we can get. So I'm going to head out after the podcast. I'm going to go drop off the car over there. Before, when we went over there, we didn't do any tuning. We just baselined the car, looked at the tune to see if it was a good tune, see if it was a safe tune before we throttled down, and doing a couple of dyno runs that are not full RPM, right? Because if there's something wrong with the tune, we don't want to get right on the dyno, immediately go to 6,000 or 6,200 and then screw up the car, you know? So we did a couple of safe runs on it. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of power can be out of it. Granted, our terrible 91 octane gas that we have out here, it's not an
All you're doing
E85
is
tune.
5 minutes, and all you've fucking done is make excuses as to why your car's got so much horsepower.
Well, maybe why it doesn't have enough
It's the
horsepower.
dyno.
Yeah.
It's a Ford. That's no. I mean,
Says the guy who's about to go shoot a video with the Bronco.
exactly.
But I just think there's, when you see so many of the videos on YouTube, you got to understand the difference between the machines that they're being dynoed on. And
That and YouTube's a mythical fairy tale place
yeah,
where nothing you see should be taken at face value.
well, I agree. I agree. And you're right. The fuel we're using, the octane we're using, it makes a difference. I'm not running any fuel additive or anything like that. I'm going to run 91 octane pump and get the tune safe. If I wanted to throw in some boostane or something, some a couple of gallons of higher octane racing fuel or something in there, I'm sure we'll get more numbers out of it.
Well, yeah,
But
but
that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not
that.
trying to get the biggest number, but
Yeah.
anyway, that'll be the plan for today. See how it comes in, and then let's have Ray on. Have Ray sort of explain what much better than what I've been trying to explain between.
Make sure you video it too. It'd
Yeah,
be interesting
and listen, this is a question for Mario as well, because Mario tunes 93 octane vehicles, being in Florida, and he does a lot of E85 tunes, which we're starting to get around here in LA. I'm seeing more E85 become available at pumps. I went down the street and I passed two gas stations that have E85 now. One of them I knew was coming. The other one I didn't even realize. So I didn't even think because I never really did an E85 tune or thought to do it because it's not available out here.
The best way to do it, there's an E85 app and everything pops up. Every gas station with that offers E85, it pops up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'll ask Ray about it, but like, hey, what do we need to make many changes to get it to run on E85? And I don't know the answer to that.
Well, one thing's for sure, I can tell you, you'll be able to get a gallon of gas less than $5 a gallon if you win a E85.
Yeah, totally. But it's like 60% less efficient.
Yeah, it's like 220 here.
Yeah, but my 18 miles per gallon will go to 10 miles per gallon because of the
Then buy a fucking Chevette.
Well, listen, I that's not why I have that car, but you understand the point.
100%.
And yeah, you're right. I drove down the street and the 85 was, I don't know what it normally is around the country, but it was like 3 something, but the gas was
it's under
580.
here.
Yeah.
It's been under $3. When I landed here, when I got here, one of the biggest eye openers was that I went and filled the red eye up with E85 and it was like 209 a gallon at the time. And I was like, man, I landed in heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's probably got to be $5 a gallon in Cali.
You know, I think it's in three something, and
Oh,
our fuel is in the fives, right? I drove past. I drove down the street the other day, and whatever, the 87 octane and the 91 octane was like a five something, up to about 589. I've seen it 599 right now for the 91 octane, and the 85 I think was three something. I don't think it was in the twos, but it was three something. Now it could have been 389. It could have been, you
it's
know,
pretty liberating being able to fill your gas tank up for less than $100.
yeah.
These
Yeah, and anyway, it's an interesting point. I got to drive by again and just kind of take a look at what the costs are. Or you're right, there's probably an app on it as well. But
there is.
anyway, I'm just trying.
I've had it for 3 years.
I'm excited to get that car dialed in. And honestly, a big horsepower number is fun to have, but the car's plenty fast, and if it runs well, uh, I just want to be able to enjoy it.
I'd be curious to see it on E85 because you
Yeah.
don't drive it very much. Who cares about the efficiency of it? Get some horsepower out of it. Let it stretch its legs. The things that Mario has been able to do with E85 and these Hellcats is freaking unbelievable.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know enough on that car if I would have to change some stuff on the fuel system, because we're basically,
Injectors.
yeah, because we're kind of boosting the stock fuel system to get to this horsepower. But with E85, I might need to change some things on the fuel system. However, the car itself will respond to changes in octane. So even just putting an octane booster, like something good, like a couple of gallons of racing fuel, or putting, the can of like boostane or something in it. I wonder if that would, I think that would move the needle a little bit. Not as much as a full tank of E85, but I think it would be interesting to see if that would move the needle. I think there's some horsepower on the table if it would do it. But anyway, I'm gonna head out and do that. So we're gonna cut things a little bit short. You're gonna go shoot your video. I've been seeing the guys behind you the whole time running around. The
Yeah,
camera guy.
we got the. Let's see here. Let's see. We got the Bronco getting beauty shots, right? Or no?
Yeah,
It
I
is
see it back there.
right there.
Yeah, I see it back there. I saw the guys back there the whole time, grabbing some B-roll and stuff of it. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited to see the final product on the Cobra body. Even though the body probably not on the car yet, but
Yeah, it's still at Expel. It's getting the windshield done, and actually, here's another good little tidbit. I sat in Chris's Cobra. His is a factory 5, and the seats were completely different, completely different. And
yeah,
what he had done was he got the bucket seats, the buckets themselves. The frame,
right.
the old school looking gimmick. So he got the buckets, and he literally uh, put the upholstery over it. It's like a glove that fits over the little bucket seat.
Okay.
So it's not a seat itself. It's a cover that goes on top of the bucket. That looks like a seat, right? And I mean, you can see in the video. But my point is that I sat in it. It literally was 3 inches lower than my seat. So I've got those seats on order, and the upholstery shop up in San Antonio is going to do the same seat cover for me. And so I may not have to change the roll bar because it will drop, obviously, me down.
Yeah. You'll be
So
lower in the car.
what a liberating experience it would be to have a little bit more room in that vehicle. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So that's getting done. The seat frames, the seat cushions, and then they're tinting the windshield. And after the seat cushions get done, they're treating all the interior with some sun protection product. So,
you mentioned the windshield. That wasn't something that was on my radar a number of years back, but now that they've got such a good, clear PPF that they're doing windshields, and uh, I
They
haven't done
do
them
it
to
on
any
the
of my
inner
cars.
and outer windshield. They do it on the inside, and they'll do a cover on the outside too.
Yeah, but the glass protection, it's like I wish I'd done that on my truck and my Mach 1. Both of those
Frick,
got
you and
little
everyone else.
cracks in the window. Funny little story by the way. You were talking about lowering your seat. This you probably heard, but some of those you might not have. So when Tom Selleck was doing Magnum PI back in the 80s, and they have that Ferrari over at the Peterson Museum,
Really?
and
Yeah.
you go and you see it, the seat foam on the bottom has been removed, that it's just like a piece of the material because he was
Just like
also,
Hogan.
yeah, he was too tall. He had to sit in a hole every time they filmed him driving that car because it just looked goofy.
Hogan did the same thing with I think it was a second gen Viper, like an '06 or
Yeah,
'04
I
or
don't know how he
something like
fits in
that.
that anyway, but
That's how he did it. They completely took the seat out and gutted it.
just got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, on uh one of Adam's race cars, the Steve Millen car, that one is really tight, and the bulkhead behind the seat you can't move. And then one of the reasons why, because he gets asked all the time, "Have you driven it? Have you driven it?" He's like, I can't really fit in it, even if he squeezes through the window because there's no door to open. Uh, he just can't fit in there. So, um, yeah, you'll see on a lot of these race cars, they'll make a mold. They'll like there's this foam piece with like plastic on it, and you kind of sink yourself into it, like when you mold like custom earbuds or something,
Yeah,
and you'll just
same
make
thing.
a mold to it and get it as kind of as thin as possible, and then the foam eventually dries, and it's basically just a mold of you, the driver,
Yeah.
and it gets you a couple of inches, either further
Any
back
guy,
or down lower. You need to do that.
any guy is going to make the choice that gives him a couple more inches.
All right. And with that,
And
we
on that,
we will wrap it up for the day. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Have fun with the Bronco. Looking forward to those videos. And until next time, keep the air and the spare in the bag and the wheel.
your tires on the ground.